My child applied to medical school last year, but was not asked to interview at any of the schools he chose. How do I help him determine what he needs to change about his application so I'm not throwing more money away on another failed application cycle? That's a great question, a real tough question. Well, I would refer to some of the free resources I recommended, this webinar, Reapplicants. I would also recommend a rejection review for your child. But fundamentally, what your child has to do, and your child has to do it, you cannot do it for him or her, is have to evaluate what went wrong. Did they aim at schools that were too competitive given their stats? Did they have necessary experience? If they didn't, they need to get it. Do they need to retake the MCAT? Are there other schools where they're going to be competitive? Those are the schools they should be applying to. Did they apply early or late in the application cycle? If they applied late, they should apply early. Did they take the Casper? Many schools are now requiring. So, there are things that your child has to evaluate. You really can't evaluate it for him or her because they're not going to accept the input unless you have a very, very unusually good relationship with your child. Or you can sit down and have an honest conversation with your child. It's really hard. They put a lot into this, but they do need to figure out what they can change and what they can improve. If they just submit the same application, then it will be seen as a sign of laziness by many medical schools, not all, but many, and they probably won't be fixing what they were doing wrong. I once talked to a son and his mother. The mother was very interested in engaging with us, and the son was convinced that the only thing that causes rejection was his MCAT score. And I said, I really don't think that's a good way to go, because if you just resubmit your personal statement, your most meaningful experience essays, your activity descriptions, the same as they were last year, you're not going to show any growth. And if any of the schools choose to look at your previous application or realize that you applied and everything stops a year ago, they're going to see that as a sign of laziness. The applicant refused to hear what I was saying. The next day, I spoke to a medical school admissions director for our podcast, Admission Straight Talk, and I said, I told her about the conversation, and she said, "Oh yeah, that'd be viewed as being very lazy. And why did everything stop a year ago? What's happened in the last year?" They're not gonna like that, and they got lots of people to choose from. They're not going to call them up and say, "Why did you not take your application forward?" So again, just getting back to the basic question, you need to determine, or your child needs to determine what went wrong and then address that.